Hello, my name is Tyler McIntyre. I'm the director of It's a Wonderful Knife, and you are watching Craven Something Scary.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, visitors, subscribers, patrons, and Cravenites. Yes, my channel members. Welcome to Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. But guys, we are at another very special evening, and I'm so excited for this. What a great couple of days we had with Tyler McIntyre here on Saturday. And then tonight we are blessed to have a great guest again, who is featured in It's a Wonderful Knife, which you guys know I've been talking about for a while now. And if you have not seen it, good news, it will be out this Friday, December the 1st on Shudder. So you need to, if you don't have Shudder, get Shudder now. It's not that expensive. It's literally like $5 a month as an add-on if you have Prime, or you can just, get it directly, but whichever works. It's going to be coming out Friday, and I'm going to be doing a watch party. Big announcement coming soon. I will just tease it for now that there will be a watch party for the movie in December to as many as possible. However, even though we have an hour with Jess, that will go by so fast, and you guys know how it goes, so quickly. So I will not be able to get to everyone's questions. That's just the way it goes. So don't take it personal. Oh, you didn't get to my question. Well, it's not because I was avoiding you. It's just we ran out of time. All right. It's simple. It's simple mathematics of the clock. However, there is a way. If you have a burning question, if you have a burning, see what I did there, or burning question for Jess, you can send a super chat and just send that in. I will move you up to the front of the line ahead of everyone else, and I will make sure that we do not end the stream without addressing your question. So there is an opportunity for you there to make sure your question gets answered, and it also helps support this channel so I can continue to offer you more content like tonight. All right? So definitely you have that opportunity. Well, guys, listen, I will not waste any more time. Not that we were wasting time. I think it was all valuable, but you know what I mean. We have Jess for 1 hour, and we want to take as much advantage of that as possible. So, guys, please welcome in the chat to my very special guest, cast member of It's a Wonderful Knife as the character Bernie. Please welcome Jess Mcleod. Jess, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome. Thank you, my friend, for accepting the invitation to be here. We are honored to have you and that you are giving of your time tonight for us. It's really, really an honor. Thank you so much.
Excited to be here.
All right. This is going to be great. And real quick, before we start diving in, I do have a super chat that's come through already. And it's our good friend, Eric, the Beard Entertainment, with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Eric, for supporting the channel tonight. Says, let's get this party started. All right. Yes.
Oh, Eric, let's go.
I'm so excited. And believe me, Jess, everyone is very excited that you're here tonight, for sure. So, all right. Let's take a look here. What I'd like to do before we dive into the actual movie itself, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about you and your history, maybe just more or less the origin point, because I think it's always so interesting. You probably get asked this a million times, but I would love to hear for you, how did everything get started from an acting perspective? So, like, at what point in your life did you just know that you wanted to be an actor? That's what you wanted to do as a career.
Really young, really young. I think I was kind of born with it. I don't know exactly where it came from, but like nobody in my family is very artistic. So I
Okay.
was kind of born with it, I think, and I had some resistance from my mom for many years, and then I kind of got scouted in a weird way. Uh, yeah, and it all just kind of fell into place, and I got an agent, and then I booked my first audition, which was a Lotto 649 commercial when I was like 6 years old.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. 6 years old.
yeah,
Wow, that's
doing it
fantastic.
ever since.
Well, that's great. Oh, that's so cool. Because I was going to ask you, what was your first, like professional quote or a paid acting role? I guess would that be your first one then, right there?
That was the one. Yeah,
Wow.
I played a fairy who granted people's lottery wishes in a Lotto 649 commercial, which is like the
Oh.
Vancouver, BC lottery. Yeah.
Well, listen, if you have any of that fairy desk left, I'll take $1 million. I'm not greedy. I'll
Mm.
take $1 million.
Yeah, I'll see what I can muster up for you.
I appreciate that. And guys, while we're talking tonight, want a quick shout to my moderators, Polar, Jen, Denisha, Val. Thank you guys for moderating the chat. And every so often, periodically, they're going to be posting the Twitter account or the X account, whichever you want to call it, for Jess. You can follow Jess right there. Please click the link, go and follow Jess. Stay up to speed on what's going on in her on their social media. All right. So that'll be coming up every now and then. Just wanted to mention that so that you guys can keep your eyes open for it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this movie. How about it? Let's just go for it because
Dive right in.
I love it. I love it. So really enjoyed the film. As I met Tiana and I met Tyler, and I'm going to tell you the same thing. It was a really cool take, a really interesting premise. I love what Michael Kennedy did with this story. I thought it was really good writing and execution, of course. And I will say this: the costume of the Angel Killer, Jess. And this is, for me to say this is a pretty big statement, because when I saw the first full image of the costume with the white robe, the gloves, everything, the face, the dagger with the angel wings, all of that, I got literal goosebumps. And I'm not joking. That doesn't happen all the time when I see a mass killer in a movie, but I did, and I said, man, I believe this is my most favorite costume for a slasher killer since Ghostface in '96.
Wow.
Yeah, and
That's
I mean that. And I have this great shot that Tiana sent me of the very first fitting of the costume. But even though it's not like set perfectly yet, you can just look at that. I mean, it's just. I just have to ask you, what did you think of the costume? Like, because when you saw it, what were your first thoughts or impressions?
Well, I thought it looked incredible. I mean, the design on this, Matea and Tiana just really are so talented. And
Mhm.
it's so simple too. I think that's something that I love about it. Is it's not super flashy, like there's not a lot to it, but it looks
Yeah.
great. But
Mhm.
also the other thing that I thought was that mask is really hard to see out of.
Right?
Cody, who was the main kind of stunt person, the person behind the mask for most of the movie, was really having he was having a hard time. He did great work in there. It was incredible.
I've got to get him on because I've heard from everybody, Tyler, Tiana, and now you about Cody, and I'm going to talk to you offline. I got to reach out to him
You
and
must
get him
reach out
back.
to Cody. Absolutely. Yes.
Yes, that
Yeah.
would be so cool because what an amazing job in that costume. I mean, I can't
Yeah.
imagine. I'm like, every time I see the mask when I watch the movie, I'm like, how in the heck can this person see? I mean, it's like everything's covered. It's
Not well is the answer. Not
yeah,
well. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. So let's go back to kind of the beginning again for It's a Wonderful Knife. When did you like learn of the opportunity to audition? What was that whole process like?
Um, actually, so I had a few, because they were casting in Vancouver. I had a few friends send me the breakdown, which is just like the description of the character, and they sent it to me going, "Oh, you should really go in for this. You're really great for this." And it made me laugh a little bit because the character breakdown was like, huge loser, no friends, really depressed, suicidal.
That's
They were like,
right.
"That's your role. You're perfect." Like, no. But they were right. They were right. And so then I got a tape a couple days after people started sending me the breakdown, and I taped for it, and it felt like a pretty easy audition for me. It like wasn't hard.
Mhm.
Uh, and then I think I heard not too long after that Tyler was in town and doing meetings. So then I met with Tyler, and he doesn't do stereotypical callbacks. He'll just talk to you for a little bit, which was, I think that's really cool, but I never know what to say in those things. So
Yeah.
I felt very awkward, as I normally just do in life, which I think works for the character. I think it all was
Yeah.
the way it was supposed to be. Um, and then after that, I heard that I was kind of on hold, as they say, but there was many weeks where nothing happened, and then kind of last minute, like a week and a half before, maybe they finally decided, and they said it was me, and then I went in for my fitting and off to the races.
Wow. What did it feel like when you got that phone call that said you've got the part? You won
I
that.
was really excited. I think, it's interesting with things that come up to Vancouver, because sometimes they'll bring a lot of American cast for the
Mhm.
bigger roles. So it was one of those situations where I just kind of assumed that would be what happens. And I was very, honored to be a part of it. I really liked the character. I felt really connected to her. So I think, yeah, all worked out. I was jazzed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
Now, did you audition for any other role than Bernie, or is it just for that role?
Just Bernie.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Just curious. Yeah, sometimes folks will audition for one role and they get cast for another role,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
I know that Zinnia, who played Darla, auditioned for Bernie. And I think also the person who played Vicky also auditioned for Bernie as well. So there's a few people that kind of had that situation.
Okay. Yeah, see, that seems to happen a lot of times. But in a case like this, seems very clear that there was no reason or need to even consider another character because you were Bernie. Like that was the right fit,
Yeah,
right?
I think
That
so.
was
I
yeah.
I can't really see myself as any other character in it. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was just the right fit.
Yes, 100%. And I just love what you did with the character, which we're going to get in that. We're going to get into that in a second. But I love the character, and I love how things went with it. Now, let me ask you this, because when I speak to people that have seen the movie, a lot of people here in my community and the horror community in general that I'm in touch with here as a content creator have seen the movie, of course, right? And the overwhelming consensus amongst folks that I'm hearing, at least, is that It's a Wonderful Knife has already earned a status of a Christmas horror staple.
Love,
That a movie that they're going to want to watch every Christmas season. That's part of the rotation, that kind of thing.
love it.
Which is that's really awesome, right? And
Totally.
um, when you read the script, right? When you first got the script, you got to read this whole story. Did you get the feeling that this movie had the potential to be a new Christmas horror classic?
I mean, I think what I loved so much about the script was it is actually very sweet at its core, and you don't find that a lot with slashers. Like, I love a horror comedy, but I think there was just something a little bit different about this one in terms of, yeah, it's just like it actually is very wholesome almost at its core, and I think I was excited by that, but I try not to have too many expectations about how things will be received.
Sure.
But I've been, people who have responded to it have been responding very positively, and I'm happy. I'm happy about that.
Yes. Well, absolutely. Again, it's just, I'm ready for everyone, because I know it was limited release in theaters. A lot of folks that I know wanted to see it in theaters, but it was like an hour away or hour and a half away, and they weren't able to go.
Yeah.
But Shudder is a game changer because Friday, December the 1st, that's this coming Friday, it's out. It's out for everywhere. Everybody can watch it.
Yeah.
And I really think what's going to happen is, this is just my own prediction opinion, but I think that once it gets to Shudder, you really get that huge widespread views. I think it's going to skyrocket up in terms of the conversations and awareness. And I really do, because it's a great Christmas slasher movie. And we don't have a ton of those that are really good, really, honestly. We have some classics, right? That'll always be classic. Black Christmas. I mean, there's a list we could make, right? But to have a current film and that costume, which again, I go back to the angel costume.
As you should. It's great.
It's so amazing, and such a great cast too. And we're going to talk about some of your castmates shortly. But yeah, I'm excited because I think that this will just skyrocket things for you guys on Friday, starting Friday. So
can't wait.
Excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. And I can't wait for the watch party, which I teased earlier. So that's going to be fun too. So stay tuned, folks. Now, when I think of Bernie, okay, the character Bernie, one thing I admire is their resilience. And and again, we're not going to give too much away here because I know some folks haven't seen it yet. But she's resilient, and I love the story arc for the character, especially that second half of the film. Can you share some of kind of what your mindset and your personal approach was as you read the character? And obviously you're the one that brings Bernie to life. So can you share it, kind of let us peek behind the curtain to what you were thinking when you were looking at this character and how you were going to perform for her, her role or that character?
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of a tough one to try to step around in terms of spoilers. But I think the only thing that I tried to do was just be really present and very Bernie's whole purpose is to be there for Winnie. That's Bernie's entire point. And so that's really all I tried to do, was just be really aware of what was going on with Jane and tried to be really present for whatever's happening with them. And I feel like everything else just kind of happened. I think like a lot of it was in the writing already, so I didn't feel like I had to play too much into any of what happens later, what's revealed later. I just felt like I just kind of trusted that would be in there. So I really just tried to react to Jane and be supportive to them, because that is Bernie's whole thing.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. And that's perfect, because that leads me to kind of something else I wanted to ask you about, because with you and Jane Whittup, you share a good bit of screen time together.
Yeah, we do.
And you really do. And I think the two of you together, going after the angel killer, and the way that the story unfolds is really, I think, some of my favorite moments in the movie, or when you two are together. And when I was, just watching it, it really felt like a great chemistry existed between the two of you. And I was just wondering, like, how well did you get to know each other off camera? Or because it just seems like there was this chemistry, this flow between you guys, that you worked off each other really well.
I think that was really there from the first time we met. I think we just, whatever it is, sometimes you just meet people and it's like, oh wow, we just understand each other, or there's just something to it. And I think and yeah, we spent many hours together, many long days and nights doing stunts and having a lot of work to do. But I think that, yeah, I mean, I already knew their work from Yellow Jackets. I was already a fan. And so I think it was just really easy that dynamic was really easy because I was so captivated by Jane. Jane's an excellent actor. It's really easy to watch them and be excited about what they're doing. So I think just all kind of like, it all works. It all works. It's like my energy towards Jane, and then Jane being kind of like surprised by, I think, who I am, and our dynamic off screen like really supported what ended up happening on screen, I think.
Yes. And we'll kind of go to the chat here just for a little bit. We can see what some folks are saying. Keon, what's up? Keon says, Jess, I think you did great with Jane. I agree with Steven. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's totally. Brandon says, the theater scene between Bernie and Jane, of course, he means Winnie, of course.
Yeah.
No worries. It was so touching. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be my favorite scene of ours in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's my favorite scene. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
And Jason says, I watched the movie. Jess, you did an amazing job.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks, King.
That's awesome. All right, let's see. We do have some questions, a couple of questions that have come through. So I'll take a break from my questions and let the chat ask them here for a little bit for a second. Brandon again says, question for Jess. Did you share any interests similar to Bernie?
That's a great question. I feel like Bernie is really into true crime, which I relate to. Bernie's very about a mystery. She loves a mystery. She loves to figure things out. So I think I am similar to her in that way. I don't have as keen of I don't have an artistic fashion sense the way that she does. I think that is where we differ. I'm a very basic dresser, so I wish that I was as cool as she is in that way. And I think that we're also both just like, we both love Jane. Me and Bernie. Our interest in Jane Widdop is the same. So I think that's a common interest for sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now Daniel has a question. I think it's kind of fun. If you could have played a character other than Bernie, who would you have liked to have played instead?
Oh man. I mean, Mayor Waters would have been obviously extremely fun, but I just couldn't dream of doing. Justin Long, I think, is actually a genius. And the choice that he made in that, I was just in awe of him the whole time. Or like Buck, Buck's really fun. Yeah, those would be my two. The Waters boys, I guess, would be my choices. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, him on his OnlyFans, and that was so funny.
His line, he had an ad-libbed line that made it in the movie which killed me. It was can we get the canine unit in here? Not that they'll do anything, but just for the vibes or something. And that made me laugh so hard. So hard. Sean is
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
Excuse me. Laura says, "What is your dream role?"
Oh man.
Ooh.
I recently had this question in another interview, and I didn't necessarily know that this was my dream role, but I think it's up there. I know that they're doing the live action Legend of Zelda. I would love to play Link. I feel like we give a very similar androgynous king energy.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think just in general, I love like a creature. I love something that's like a
Ooh.
little bit mystical. I think that I would love to do something like that upcoming. That would be really fun.
Wow. Nice. Well, that's, hey, we put it out. You put it out there. So it's out. It's in the universe.
Exactly.
Now, this channel, as you see Ghostface behind me here, obviously Scream is a big part of the content of this channel as well,
Yeah.
of what I do. So I have to ask you what Ghostface would ask you if he was here. And that is, what is your favorite scary movie?
Oh, I love horror movies, and I didn't for most of my life, but then I did a horror movie when I was 18, and it kind of pulled back the curtain a little bit. I was too scared before.
Okay.
But when I did one, I realized how fun it is and how it just really gave me an appreciation for it. I honestly think that I have to say Talk to Me is just so good. It's so good. The story is so good.
Mhm.
The acting is stunning. The visuals are so beautiful. There's just so much that I love about that. And I think the kind of inventiveness of It Follows was also really cool.
Ooh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just it's so simple. I know that every indie filmmaker who's made a horror was kicking themselves, being like, "Why didn't I think of that? I'm bursting
Exactly.
slowly." No.
It's true. It's true. I mean, it's like, it's right there. It's like, oh my gosh, everyone will get it, and it's like, Final Destination meets X or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
just
totally.
it's a fun movie. It really is. That's one I always enjoy to watch.
What's your favorite?
Well, for me, it actually is Scream. It really
Like
is
the
Scream.
original, like the first Scream?
The first one, I love all of I enjoy all the films. I love the first four. The Wes Craven films are my most favorite. 5 and 6, I do enjoy, though. I do. They're good movies. However, the first one is a masterpiece in my book. It is, as close to perfect as I think you can get, considering all the factors involved.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my favorite. So it's, yeah, I would, and I like a lot of movies now, but that's probably my most favorite for sure.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So I want to talk a little bit more about back to A Wonderful Life for just a bit. There are, and you kind of already touched on this with Justin. There is a few great actors. There's a few great veteran actors. In the film, but more specifically, Joel McHale and Justin Long. Now, I would just, you kind of touched on it already, so I would kind of just want to expand on what you were talking about a little bit earlier. Is what was it like, on set with Justin Long, Joel McHale hanging out? Did you get to spend some time with them off camera? What was that like, if you did?
Yeah, I did. It was really cool. I mean, every time you work with somebody who is kind of known, you always
Mhm.
hope that they're going to be really kind and
Yes.
live up to the lore, I guess. But I think those two men are so lovely and so down to earth and so game for anything. I mean, Joel McHale was like a real trooper, as was Justin. I mean, that final scene with the town square everything that happens there.
Yes.
We shot in one like long night, and he was so game for everything. He was so on top of it. I mean, he was just really in it, and you don't always find that with things like this. So I really appreciated working with them, especially. I mean, honestly, Justin Long, I've had actual dreams about working with him before. I've just been a really big fan of his. And so Mayor Waters was the last character that they cast. And I remember coming into the production office and seeing his picture beside mine. And I was just, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
I bet.
Yeah, it was really cool. I think that was that's a really big career thing for me. That was really cool.
Yeah.
So, and they both like lived up to the hype, I would say.
Right. You're like relief because because you're right. You never know until you find out for sure. You don't know. And, we've all heard of those horror stories out there of, disappointment from, but there's also so many that are like this, that are just like, yes, thank you for being the nice person I envisioned you in my head all these times,
Yeah, totally. And it's so funny too. I know this isn't just a me thing, but I get so nervous with people who are very famous. And I was just like, oh, I just hope they like me. That's
of course.
Oh, I just want them to like me. I want them to think that I'm good. So it was really fun to get to just actually work with them and like improv with Justin, and like that was cool. And yeah, it was just
nice.
I felt very lucky. To be there.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Justin, man, every time he was on the screen, like, just stole the show.
He's exceptional. He's
just
exceptional.
commands you're just drawn to him, right? You really are. And so, I mean, I have to, of course, I asked, Tiana about this because, they did the drawings, they had someone do the drawings afterwards for Waters Cove. But, when you see the Waters Cove idea and, the big sky rise and all that stuff, it looks like it looks like a Vegas casino or something. What it looks like when I look at it every time. But would you have wanted to see Waters Cove as Bernie? Would you have wanted to see that happen?
No, I think Bernie's very anti-mayor. But I think, like me, selfishly, I would love for there to be some sort of sequel where we're catapulted into an even worse reality, and we're in Waters Cove, and we're experiencing that. That would be great for me.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Because I was going to ask you later, like the question that all of us want to know is, do you think we're getting a sequel to this movie? And
there's been some light discussion. I don't know, but there's been some light. I think we all would like that. I think that would be very cool. I think there's the world that they've kind of built and the rules that they've established leave everything pretty open. So I think there's certainly a possibility. There's certainly
yeah. Gosh, fingers crossed on that one, man. Because that's what we need to have happen now. That when it hits Shudder, we need everybody to watch it, blow it up, like show Shudder that we love this movie. Because they're counting the streams. They got to counter somewhere in the algorithm. They know. So let's make sure, guys, on December 1st, this Friday, there's not a better way to start your weekend than watching It's a Wonderful Life on Shudder. Set up your account if you don't have one. It's not that expensive. It's really not. And you can probably even get a free trial if you're new to the network there or the streaming service. So check it out, guys. But we got to make sure if there's any chance we're going to get a sequel. I mean, the theater performance did really well for the number of theaters it was out in. It really did.
Yeah.
So congrats on that, because that was an accomplishment.
Thanks.
But listen, I say it like this: if we want to make sure there's a sequel chance, let's just overflow Shudder with views. Yeah.
Put it
It's
on,
just,
keep it on in the background, you know?
yeah,
Keep it
just run it. Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that. Because we want to get, we want a sequel. We need a sequel. So many things you can do. And I love the Waters Cove idea.
I
You
mean,
wake up and you're there.
I have so many ideas. I simply won't shut up. It's very funny. Michael Kennedy. Well, he had to. I would give him. I had so many thoughts, and bless him, he was so receptive to everything that I was saying. And sometimes he would just have to rein me in a little bit. I would be like, "What? And what about this?" And he'd be like, I like this the thing that you said 3 ideas ago. That was cool. Then we should have stopped. And I'm like, great. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm down. I'm down for whatever.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Now, earlier I asked you what your favorite scary movie was, right?
Mhm.
Well, Laura has a question. What's your favorite movie ever? So any genre whatsoever.
So hard. That's so
It is.
hard. Oh man. I mean, I will say I think Legally Blonde has a very special place in my heart. I just think that movie is so was so is so different for its time and had such a humor that was ahead of its time.
Mhm.
But I'm sure there's quite literally 1 zillion movies that I like better than that movie that I just can't think of right now. So
Sure, sure.
I'm so sorry, Laura. I don't think that I can answer that.
That's all right. It's harder than it sounds, it really
Hard.
is.
It's really hard. I'm also more. I find myself watching a lot more TV than I do movies these days. So I feel like
Ah,
I could answer favorite TV show quicker, which would be like I May Destroy You or Pen 15 are probably my favorite shows ever.
ooh,
Love those.
okay.
They're great. Yeah.
Interesting. Pen 15.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I'm about to look that one up.
Oh,
Okay.
it's silly, Stephen. It's silly in a great
Oh,
way.
is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, now, also, I know you mentioned earlier your favorite scene was probably in the theater. But Brendan has a question. What was your favorite on-set memory? Maybe not necessarily scene, or it could be the same with Jane.
I talked about this recently in an interview. I was there on the day that they were doing the scene with Jane and Joel talking about Jimmy.
Okay.
And that's all I'll say to avoid spoilers there. But I
Mhm.
think that is a very long scene, an emotional scene.
Yeah.
And it was just Jane, every take, not a word of a lie, every single take on the same line on the side of their face that is lit, dropped a single tear. And I've never seen that ever in my 16
Wow.
years of acting. Or 20 years. I've never seen it. It was incredible. It was incredible. Um,
Dang.
yeah, incredibly impressive. They are a technician. They are a master. It was incredible. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man. Now, something else that's incredible I thought was incredible was Tyler revealed to me on Saturday that you guys only had an 18-day shooting schedule, which
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I would have never dreamt that based on how great this film is. It doesn't, you would think it was an 8-week shoot, 9-week shoot. And you're like, I wish, I know, right?
Yeah.
18 days, Jess. So what was your typical day like during shooting those 18 days? I'd love to hear.
Just we were all holding on for dear life. I
Yeah.
think the crew was working so hard, so hard. As actors, we have it pretty easy. I mean, we sit for many hours and then they tell us to go and we do the scene in 45 minutes and then the crew was hanging on for dear life. We were
Mm.
just trying to do our best to get things quickly so that we would make the day. And it was a really fun experience, but also, yes, exhausting for everyone. Also 2 straight weeks of night shoots because it's all so many exteriors at night. So yeah.
Man, yes, so much. so many night shoots. So then you got the whole sleeping schedule,
Woo.
right? You're disrupting your normal sleep patterns.
Yeah. That's one thing about a horror movie is just, when you sign on that it's about to be a very irregular sleep schedule for you for whatever, how much time you're shooting. Yeah.
Oh man. So are you a coffee drinker by chance? Or are you do you
No,
have
I'm not a coffee drinker on set. If it's really, if I'm really feeling rough, I'll go in. But I think I just try to. I'm a good napper. That's what I'll say. I'm good at
Oh, that's
napping.
good.
I'm
Okay.
good at just like kind of I can sit down and nap if I need to. So
Nice.
that's a good skill because then hair and makeup doesn't get mad at you for like smushing your whatever. If you can just nap sitting up, they like that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. And it gives you a little burst of energy
Yeah.
recharge, right? Your battery a little bit here and there.
Yeah, you got
Um, and you probably, I'm sure there's a lot of adrenaline too, just from acting in a movie, cameras,
it.
lights, action. I mean, that's probably pretty exciting, right?
Also,
That's
a movie like this where, it's like so much screaming and
Mhm.
running and breathing really hard and that's a lot of energy and I feel like on set you don't necessarily track that it's so much energy as it's happening because you're just like
Mhm.
go 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 go. But then when you get home you're like, "Oh, wow, every part of my body hurts." I have to sleep for 72 hours to recover
Yeah.
from this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, when the shooting was all done, did you just go home, unplug, and like sleep
Yes.
for 3 days?
That's exactly what I did. Yeah.
Yes, I don't blame you at all.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so I have a few more questions, then we'll do a couple more audience questions, and then we'll start to wrap up. We're already at 45 minutes, which
Oh my
is
gosh, you weren't kidding. This goes by so fast.
it goes by so quick. It's mind blowing how fast it goes. Um, now I want to ask you, what would you say would be maybe was the most difficult or challenging part of making the film for you? Was there one thing that was just really tough or really challenging aspect that maybe you didn't expect or maybe you did?
I think, honestly, I would just say the schedule. I think the schedule
Yeah.
was just really tough, especially just I knew a lot of the crew already. When you work a lot in Vancouver, you kind of just work with the same people. It's not as
Hmm.
big of a town as LA is, so I think it was it was just tough seeing everybody like so exhausted, but also that is a bit of a bonding thing. Because you're all you're not seeing anyone else. You're all living like vampires.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, that was tough. That was definitely the toughest part. I think I could speak for everybody. That was definitely the toughest part. We were all really tired. We were all really like not our bodies were not functioning at the level at which they should. So it was just sort of that was tough. That was the toughest part. The schedule. Yeah.
Yeah, I would that doesn't surprise me. That would be so difficult, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Um, now, just kind of flipping it over a little bit on the other side of the coin,
Mhm.
what would you consider to be maybe the most fulfilling or exciting part of your experience making this movie?
I just love this character. I just love this character. I think um, I've played a lot of sort of outsiders or people who are, struggling emotionally or very lonely or whatever. I've played a lot of people like that who are kind of on the outside, but I feel like I've always played characters who are on the outside and who are very angry about it. And I
Mm,
think this the beauty of Bernie is that she's so full of joy and full of love and full and just so ready to give it. She just needs somebody to choose her. And
yeah,
so I think that was just really a gift to be able to do. I just felt like, oh wow, because every scene all I had to do was just love Jane and it was just so easy. It was just so easy to do. Um so I think that was really refreshing, I think, for me as an actor, because you do get put in a box a little bit. And I love the box that I've been able to play in. I think that there's a lot there as an actor to play that kind of person on the outside. You get to explore a lot, but it was just a new version of that I hadn't really seen before for me, and I just loved it. I just thought it was really fun.
Awesome. That's awesome. Now, were there any things that you would consider a surprise? Any surprises along the way that you made while making it? That I mean, it could be anything, like you something you were involved with, or something you saw on set with other actors or crew. Any surprises like, oh wow, caught you in like moments?
I think just it was really collaborative. I think almost every single day there was something new that would happen. Somebody would say a funny new ad lib, and like that would be a surprise, or there would be a fun production design thing that they've added in that we see and maybe nobody else catches, but it's kind of funny. I think there was just there was a real sense of, I think, camaraderie on set between the crew and the cast, and it kind of kept the energy really fresh every day. Just we were all just trying to help each other through it. So I think, I think there was just little surprises every day. It was always
Yeah.
something different, which I think is a really fun energy to have on a movie like this. And I think it shows, because there are so
Mhm.
many unexpectedly funny moments, and I feel like a lot of those were just because the vibe on set was very like anyone can kind of throw in an offer or a suggestion. And even camera, sometimes it's like, oh, like what if we do this fun little pan, or like what if we do this, add this little stunt moment that's fun. And they were really open to all of that. So I think I think there's little surprises every day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we have a guest that's joining in the chat.
Oh,
It's the one and only
oh,
Tiana
Tiana.
Gordon.
Tiana,
Tiana, guys.
what was your reaction to seeing Bernie? Oh my goodness. I mean, I loved it. I loved Bernie's house. It was so specific. There also, Tiana was texting me, pictures of furniture before we got there, and being like, oh my God, isn't this so cute? And yeah, I feel like it just felt like her. It just felt really kind of humble and like unique.
Yeah.
Bernie's room was also so impressive. We get to see a decent amount of it in the movie, but we don't see like kind of the full picture of what it feels like to walk in there when you're walking in there in real life. So much detail, just so all of the clothes that she had made, and all of the little trinkets and stuff, and like pictures of me as a kid and like things like that. And it was just very I loved Bernie's house. Tiana, you did an astounding job. You are incredible. She knows that I think that about them. But
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, guys. Of course, Tiana Gordon, the production designer of It's a Wonderful Knife, who was my guest here a couple weeks ago. If you haven't seen that interview, make sure you go check it out in the interviews playlist. You don't want to miss that. Tiana, it's so great that you're here. That's so nice of you to pop in for the interview tonight. That's so cool. So cool. And hey, we got a super chat, and super chats moved to the front of the line. Eric, the Beard Entertainment, thank you, my friend, with a $5 super chat for the channel. Says, Jess, if you could get involved in any other big horror franchise, which would you choose?
Oh, wow. Good question. I think I would love to do something like X, like what they've done with that. I would love to be something in that. But honestly, I've had such a delightful time every time that I've done a horror movie. I will do anything. I will do anything, and I will be so happy to be there. I mean, I loved Freaky. I loved Freaky so much. Michael Keaton's movie. I just thought it was so genius. So I just think I feel like there will be more horror for me in the future. I just think it's a genre that I keep finding myself in. So I'm ready for anything. I'm staying open.
Well, Jess, speaking of freaky, Christopher Landon, who I had here a couple of months ago and got to meet him and had a great conversation. She's directing Scream 7.
I did know this.
I mean, I'm just saying, if the phone call came for a role in Scream 7, I mean, what do you think? I mean, I think that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's certainly some things going on with the studio right now that I'm not super
True.
in agreement with
True.
principle wise, but I think
Right.
as as a general concept, obviously I would love to join that franchise. And Christopher Landon as a director, I would love to work with. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So talented. So talented. And of course, Michael Kennedy, his great friend.
Mhm.
Who knows at the end of the day, if Michael Kennedy may have some involvement in some of the writing here too. I mean, it's all up in the air right now. So
Totally.
you never know.
Yeah, you just don't. And I think that's the thing is like, I would have not seen this coming. So who knows what's going to happen in the next year? You could say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keon says, Jess, you should definitely do Scream 7. A lot of Scream fans here, like myself in the
Hey,
community.
I am too. I am too.
Oh, all right. We got, I'll do a couple more questions here from the chat. Thank you, Eric, again, for your super chat. And what a great question. Do a couple more questions from the chat, then I'll have a couple more for you, and then we'll go ahead and start to wrap up. It just goes by so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let me find one here. I had it marked here. All right. Keon says, "Hey Jess, what do you like most about your acting career so far?"
I think just the people I've met. I've met such lovely, lovely human beings. And I think the reason that I wanted to be an actor is because I find people really interesting. My special interest is people. So
Yes.
I just get so excited when other people are excited by things. I love working with really passionate people who have a really cool vision for whatever part of the job they're doing. I also direct and write, so it's really exciting for me to see something happen technically that is really cool and exciting and something I didn't necessarily think of. I love working with Nick, the cinematographer on this. I think that he has such great ideas and was really fun to work with. It's always the people for me. Always the people. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. That's and that's something I talk about here on the channel a lot. Just is that people matter. People are important. People should be the number one most important thing, because if we have people number one, all the other stuff will fall in line like it should. If we truly have respect for each other, and we really care about each other and we respect one another, then a lot of these issues we fight through will disappear.
It's a wonderful knife of you to say. That's very Winnie of you to say. People do matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. All right. Couple of last questions I have for you, and then we can wrap it up, because I want to be respectful of your time. You're so generous to spend an hour with us.
Honestly, I was so nervous because I genuinely I'm just like a very introverted person, and I get really nervous to talk to new people, but this has been really easy. So I appreciate you making this so easy for me. That's very nice.
Oh, thank you. Well, that makes my night. Truly, that makes my night, because again, my what's the most important to me in these amazing interactions is that you have a good time, and I want you to look back on this and say, man, I enjoyed that experience. And then when I hit you up on Twitter again in a month or two, you're like, yeah, I'll go back there. I'll go back to that. I'll go back to that Craven Something Scary dude. In all seriousness, thank you for saying that. That really does mean a lot to me. I appreciate it.
I mean it. Welcome.
Thank you. So I would like to ask you this, because this is an important question. You know, there's a lot of folks that they want to be an actor, or they're an actor already, but they just don't know how to express it properly. What advice would you give to someone who desires to be in the film business? They want to, you know, maybe they want to take it from the theater to the screen and camera. Any advice you could share to help them navigate maybe some of those waters?
I think there's so much to say from a practical perspective. There's, lots of like agent advice, and there's lots of, marketing yourself and all of those things. But I think for me, the most important thing is always just remembering that nobody else is you. So the more that you can allow yourself to be seen, I think people just respond to that. I think that's been the thing that has kind of pushed my career forward the most, is just when I've really leaned into who I am and been very open with people about who I am, and people respond well. And I know in my life, I respond well to people being really just authentically themselves. And I think it comes across as actors when you're really honest about who you are and you're really open. And so I think, and it's hard to do that in this industry because it can be really, lots of rejection, and it's hard. So I think it's hard emotionally. And so I think just as much as you can, just like stay in touch with the person that you are, and know that that person has value to add that nobody else can add. It would be my advice, I guess.
That's awesome. There's nobody else out there but you. You're the only. That's it. You're one of a kind. And so many people waste so much time trying to be someone else and neglecting who they really are themselves. And that's where they're going to be successful, right? It's what you're saying, is when you let your light shine, and this is who I am, you're transparent. And then all of a sudden the real you gets to be seen.
Yeah, that's what I think. And it's such a privilege to witness somebody being their true self.
It is. It is. Great advice. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, do you have any upcoming projects that are maybe in the pipeline, or potentially that you can share right now, or is it all pretty much tight under lock and key?
I have, what I will say is I did an episode of a Star Wars adjacent web series.
Ooh.
It's like a Vancouver staple. It's called Bucket Heads, and I did that a couple weeks ago. So my episode of that will be out in probably a year, but I get to play like the scariest villain in all of the Star Wars universe.
What?
Which is pretty cool. So I'm excited for that. And there's a couple things like kind of in the ether that I are not confirmed yet that would be very exciting. So I'm just, I'm open. You'll see me in some stuff this year. That's all I'll say.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Exciting. And who knows what the next few months holds with Shudder and everything else. Maybe we'll get an exciting announcement for a sequel to It's a Wonderful Knife, which would be amazing. Oh my gosh.
Agreed. Yeah.
So amazing. Well, Jess, I want to say again, thank you so much for coming here tonight and hanging out with me and my audience and all those who will be watching this in the coming days, weeks, months, forever and ever and ever. And it just really means a lot, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. This has been so much fun.
Thank you. You're such a lovely person. I really, what you're doing here is really cool, and I'm glad that you're doing it.
Oh, thank you. You've made my night in more ways than you know. That really, I'm serious. Thank you. So for everyone in the chat, be sure that you follow Jess on Twitter or X, whichever it is, whichever way you want to say it, it's fine. But be sure and go to to their account, and we've got some links that have been posted throughout the chat. In fact, I got it right here. Thank you, Val. There it is. So be sure and go and click the link. Go right there, hit follow. Stay up to date with anything that Jess posts. You'll be in the loop. And look, the more followers, the better. It's interesting how social media accounts they're like currency in the business today, which is insane. I remember when I first learned that, like, the following counts, how people watch that stuff at studios. I'm like, really? I'm like, that's interesting. Then, of course, I guess the more you think about it, I kind of see, okay, why? But anyway, I say all that to say, be sure and follow Jess on X. All right, there it is.
If you follow me from this interview, let me know and I'll make sure to reply.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, there you go, guys. So listen, make sure you hear what she just said, or what they just said. Go to Twitter, follow, and let Jess know that you are there from tonight's, or whenever you're watching this. Could be, a couple of days from now. Whenever you see this, that you're following from this event, and they will respond. That is awesome. Very cool. That's a neat little extra do-si-do, as they say. All right, guys. Well, listen, we're going to call it a night. Jess, if you can hang tight, I'll meet you backstage in just a moment.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you. And for everyone in the chat, thank you all for coming tonight, for your super chats, your great questions and comments. And be sure you like this stream before you leave. Smash that thumbs up button. It will help this get further out into the ether, as Jess said earlier, in YouTube, and the algorithm will like it better too. So smash the thumbs up button, much appreciated. And I will be back again streaming very, very soon. Stay tuned. I'll be back definitely on Saturday, but probably before then as well. But stay tuned, guys. Much thanks, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, guys. Good night.
Hey, you have been watching Craven Something Scary. This is Lee Waddell, the original Ghostface, thanking you for stopping by and checking it out.